Largest deportation in American history.
Donald Trump made a promise during his election campaign. He vowed to deport undocumented immigrants.
We have no choice because that's not sustainable by any country.
Now that he's the US president, Trump is living up to this promise and deporting immigrants left, right, and center. He has already flown migrants back to Guatemala, Peru, and Honduras. And now, the farthest destination of deportation is on his radar. The US has begun deporting Indian migrants who entered the country illegally. They are being sent back to India. The US military has been called in to help, like with other deportations so far. Undocumented immigrants are being loaded up on military aircraft and flown to their country of origin. And now, according to reports, the US military C-17 cargo plane is carrying the first group of deported Indian migrants. Around 205 of them are on board. They will be on the flight for about 24 hours, and they are expected to land in the Indian city of Amritsar tomorrow. Now, this is the first time that the US is using a military plane to deport illegal migrants to India. In the past, deportations have been on board commercial planes. What's more, these military flights are a costly way to transport immigrants. The flight to Guatemala recently cost about $5,000 per migrant. Yet, this is a cost that the US is willing to pay. Though, to what extent? Experts aren't sure. Because, as per reports, about 725,000 Indians are living illegally in the US. They make up the third largest unauthorized immigrant population there after Mexico and El Salvador. At least 20,000 illegal Indian migrants are on the Trump administration's radar. Of these, about 18,000 have been given final removal orders, and about 2,000 are in detention under the US Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, or ICE. And now, just about 200 of the undocumented migrants are being flown to India. So while it's not clear what will happen to the rest of the illegal Indian migrants in the US, India's position on the deportation has been clear from the get-go. New Delhi has made it clear that it will accept illegal immigrants, but only after proper verification. If they are indeed Indian nationals, New Delhi will facilitate the return of the immigrants overstaying in the US. Last week, Trump also commented, saying that India would do what is right. It's clear that these deportations are part of a broader crackdown on illegal immigration. They are a hallmark of Trump's security strategy. And this is just the beginning for migrants living illegally in the US.
Verify TL42 or 45. They're broadcasting as 45.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, Liz, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
US President Donald Trump on Sunday made a statement on his Truth Social platform claiming that certain classes of people in South Africa were being treated very badly. He vowed to cut off US funding to the country until an investigation into the matter was conducted. Trump's post mentioned land confiscations in South Africa, although he provided no evidence to support his claims. Trump wrote, South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly. The United States won't stand for it. We will act. Also, I'll be cutting off all future funding to South Africa until a full investigation of the situation has been completed. The motivation behind Trump's statement was unclear and no specifics were provided regarding the alleged abuses or land confiscations. The next day, on Monday, in response, South Africa's foreign ministry addressed Trump's remarks, asserting that the country's Expropriation Act was not an unusual or extreme measure. The ministry addressed hope that Trump's advisors would use the period of investigation to fully understand South Africa's policies, which they described as grounded in the nation's constitutional democracy. In a statement, the foreign ministry said, and I quote, "We trust President Trump's advisors will make use of the investigative period to attain a thorough understanding of South Africa's policies within the framework of a constitutional democracy. This approach will promote a well-informed viewpoint that values and recognizes our nation's dedication to democratic ideals and governance." The statement then went on to explain that South Africa's Expropriation Act was in line with similar legislation in many other countries. In 2023, the US obligated nearly $440 million in assistance to South Africa, according to the most recent US government data. South Africa also holds the presidency of the G20, with the United States set to take over the position next. Meanwhile, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa downplayed the concerns about the country's relationship with Trump, saying that he wasn't worried about it. He noted that he had spoken with Trump after his election victory and looked forward to working with his administration. During Trump's first term, the United States president expressed interest in investigating unsubstantiated reports of large-scale killings of white farmers and violent land seizures in South Africa. At the time, the South African government denied these claims, saying Trump was misinformed. It remains unclear whether the Trump administration ever initiated such an investigation. Meanwhile, Trump's ally, billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk, who was born in South Africa, also weighed in on this issue. In 2023, Musk responded on social media platform X to a video showing a far-left South African political party singing "Kill the Boer," which is an anti-apartheid song associated with violence towards white South Africans. Musk suggested the song was a form of incitement to genocide, stating they are openly pushing for genocide of white people in South Africa. He questioned President Ramaphosa, asking, "Cyril Ramaphosa, why do you say nothing?"
Sometimes black people are carried like fools. And I don't know why black people are treated that way. And I think white people sometimes they think they are better than black people. It's okay, it's fine. But we need to understand one thing, that we are all important. Black people are important. White people are also important. That is one thing we should understand and we need to understand. Donald Trump is cutting funds and aid to South Africa. And that's not our problem. Cutting it or not cutting it, it's okay. In fact, that is what we want more, because we want to begin and start being independent. So, if you have decided that what you're going to do is cutting fund and cutting aids, not helping, it's okay, because we want Africa to be independent. But now, my problem is the reason as to why he's cutting. Okay, I'm not complaining because he's cutting. It's okay. If he cuts, if he doesn't cut, that is none of our business. But now, my problem is where now the reason of cutting the funds and the aids. The reason. See, Donald Trump says that South Africa is becoming rude and leaders of South Africa, they're becoming rude because they are undertaking what we call land confiscation. Land confiscation, what's the meaning of land confiscation? Land confiscation is the government taking or the government acquiring the land that belongs to the people and making it a government property, especially when the land was acquired illegally. In South Africa, we have mixture of people. We have black people in South Africa and we have white people in South Africa. Okay? South Africa is known to be a land and a nation and a country among as many countries that have got a lot of minerals within its boundaries. And I think that is the reason as to why you would find white men, a lot of them in South Africa. They're living in South Africa. Almost 30% of the 30 to 40%, 30%, yeah, somewhere there, of the population in South Africa are white people. Okay? Now, the government of South Africa recently has been undertaking land confiscation, and it has been happening to the white men mostly, because it is known that a lot of white men are the people who have acquired land in South Africa illegally, and they're living there peacefully, they're living there well. Okay? So recently, the government has been doing land confiscation, and mostly the people who have been affected are the white people that are living in South Africa. Getting my point? Very good. Now, due to that, Donald Trump has said that he's going to cut funds and aids that he has been he's been letting to South Africa because of that. Okay? So it's like he is threatening South Africa. Those are some kind of threats, threatening South Africa so that South Africa could not continue doing what it's doing. My question is, does South Africa belongs to the United States of America? Does it belong to France, to Trump? Is it one amongst the states of the US? That's the question number one. Question number two, does the government of South Africa, does it not have power over its territories or over its boundaries, that it can make decisions and do whatever it wants? It is true that the people who are living in South Africa, they acquired land. They acquired that land that is in South Africa. They acquired it illegally. Most of them. Okay? And I wonder sometimes, why is it that when a white man is treated badly, people take it so serious to an extent, even the government of the US or rather the government of France or the Britain or the UK, they come in and start complaining. But when a black man is treated bad, people don't care. There was a video that Donald Trump was being asked, why is it that black people are dying in the US every day? They under the I think was the policeman force or something like that. And he was asked, why is it that black men are dying, black Americans are dying so much? Do you know what he said? He jumped that story. Listen.
Let's talk about George Floyd. You said George Floyd's death was a terrible thing.
Terrible.
Why are African Americans still dying at the hands of law enforcement in this country?
And so are white people. So are white people. What a terrible question to ask. So are white people. More white people, by the way. More white people.
White men. He said more white men, because he does not want to accept and to agree the fact that black people, black Americans are dying so much in America. He does not want to agree that fact. My biggest concern and my question that has really disturbed my mind, just yesterday, a news has been going around that Donald Trump is asking Kenyans who are illegally in the US to come out of the US, to get back to their countries. And it's okay. If they're there illegally, they're supposed to be deported back to their countries. It's fine, because the United States of America does not belong to Africans. It belongs to the US, and And therefore, the US has got every right to ask people who are illegally in their territories to move out. You have that right because the country belongs to you. It's okay. But my question is, why is it that when a black man, or rather the African government, is trying to secure its territories and it's trying to make decisions that that concerns themselves in their own African country, in their own territories, why is it that when they do that, white people and white governments, they begin like feeling so bad and getting frustrated? Cyril Ramaphosa and the government of South Africa, they just did land confiscation, which is the right thing to do. This land comes back to the government because it was acquired illegally. And the people who acquired that land illegally are the foreigners, not people who are actually South Africans. They are foreigners. Donald Trump gets frustrated. It has really frustrated him and irritated him. Okay? But just a few days ago, he was asking people, black people, Kenyans, out of the US because they are there illegally. And he said, any person, any black person who is in this country illegally, report to me. There was even, I think, some money that was given out. If you be able to report someone who is found there illegally, you are given money. Okay? And I was so frustrated because even some other Africans also were like reporting their fellow Africans, which is not good. I don't want to talk about that, but it's not good. Anything that is bad, we address it the way it is. But it was an action and a decision that was made by Donald Trump, taking away people who are found in America illegally. But when the same thing happens in Africa, for white people, it becomes bad. When it's happening in the US, for black people, it's not bad. It's right. Seriously. Whom do you think black people are? How do you see us? Or how do you carry us, black people? Do you see us as people like you, or people who can be like you, or humans? That's just a question I'm asking. Because it's getting so worried and so weird. It's getting weird. Yeah? These people have intruded in, like they have, in a lot of our matters. Talk about the what is it called? Talk about our system of governance. They are intruding in our matters, in our resources, in our assets, in our governments. They are there. But I've never seen an African person interfering with the system of government of the United States of America, of France, of the United Kingdom, of Germany, of the Britain. I've never seen even a single one of them interfering with their system of governance. There is racism in America. I've seen it many times. I've seen white people resisting black people. Check out this video. People neglected the black kid. But when it comes to a white kid, people neglected the black kid. When it comes to a white kid, they are there to help. Why can't we live like brothers and sisters? It's not good. Whatever these people are doing isn't good at all. You cut your aids and cut your funds. Don't give us funds in Africa. Don't help us in Africa anymore. We don't need it. We know we are able and we are capable of doing these all things by ourselves. Just take back everything that belongs to you. But when we are making decisions in our own countries and in our own territories, do not interfere. If we have decided now we are going to take out all the white men who are in Africa illegally, do not interfere. Do the same thing in the United States of America, we will not interfere. But when we are also doing it in our own lands, do not interfere. Because when white men come to our countries, they take a power, they take lead, okay? They want to rule us in our own territories, in our own boundaries, in our own homes. But we have never gone to their countries and look like we are ruling them. So who are we? Are you better than us? Is that what you're saying? No, we need to do better. Come on. We better make a change. Because if we don't make a change, I don't know what's going to happen. But we have to make a change. We have to make a change. We don't have to continue doing like that. We don't have to continue living like that anymore. We need to make a change. That's what we need. A change must come. Yes, a change must come. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe to African Streamline. This is your place to be, all the times and all the moments. Adios, muchachos, guys.